From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, November the 3rd, 2016. A Palestinian man tried to stab Israeli soldiers in the West Bank today. The incident took place near the Jewish settlement of Ofra. The IDF said that according to initial reports, the man armed with a knife approached and came at the soldiers who were standing guard at a bus stop outside the settlement. Israeli troops then opened fire, killing him. According to the Times of Israel, the Palestinian Health Ministry identified the terrorist as 23-year-old Man Nasser al-Din Abu Kara from the town of Masra al-Kabia, north of Ramallah. An Israeli military court sentenced Palestinian terrorist Moran Badr Abdallah Adeh to life in prison today for the murder earlier this year of the Israeli mother of 6, Daphna Meir. If you recall, Adeh, who is 16 years old, stabbed Meir to death outside her home in the Jewish settlement of Otniel in the West Bank on January the 17th. A statement from the IDF said the court found that Adeh should never be set free, calling it the appropriate punishment for carrying out such a murder with, quote, abnormal cruelty and in cold blood. Israel's security agency, the Shin Bet, announced the arrest of 3 Palestinians suspected of attacking a car outside Ramallah last year. On October the 23rd of 2015, an Israeli couple was driving with their 3 children near the Jewish settlement of Beit El when their vehicle was hit with Molotov cocktails, moderately injuring their 3-year-old daughter, lightly injuring the parents and their other 2 children. The alleged perpetrators were arrested by the Shin Bet in a joint operation with the IDF and Israel police. Canadian Governor General David Johnston met yesterday with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Jerusalem. As we reported to you, Johnston arrived in Israel on Tuesday and met with Israeli President Reuven Rivlin yesterday. Johnston is leading a delegation in Israel and said they were there to strengthen the already robust relationship between our 2 countries. He also told President Rivlin that he would like to reaffirm Canada's commitment to work with Israelis, Palestinians, and other partners to uphold the prospects of a 2-state solution and achieve a just and lasting peace. As part of his visit, Johnston paid his respects at the grave of Shimon Peres, where he laid a wreath. He also went to Yad Vashem and the Knesset. 24-year-old New Jersey resident Akash DeLisle was convicted by a Bergen County court this week for a series of anti-Semitic attacks that took place from December of 2011 until January of 2012. DeLisle, together with Anthony Graziano, could face a life sentence for the attacks, which include the firebombing of 2 synagogues, one of which was also the residence of the synagogue's rabbi. Graziano was also found guilty of terrorism and other counts back in May. Both men now await sentencing. And a court in Belgium has taken the first step in the eventual extradition of the terrorist suspected in the deadly attack on the Jewish Museum in Brussels on May the 24th of 2014. Now 31-year-old French national Mehdi Nemouche opened fire, if you recall, at the museum's entrance, killing an Israeli couple and a French woman and critically injuring a Belgian man who worked at the museum, who died less than a month later of his injuries. A spokesman for the prosecutor in the case told French news agency AFP today that in the pretrial, the court declared that the European arrest warrant issued by French judicial authorities against Nemouche was enforceable, saying Nemouche could be sent to France, quote, when Belgium no longer needs him. A rare handwritten poem by Anne Frank is being auctioned off. The poem was written shortly before the diarist and her family went into hiding from the Nazis, signed and dated March the 28th of 1942. Auctioneers expect the poem could sell for about $50,000. And taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, January the 3rd. At 7 o'clock, Talmud study with Mordechai Becker. At 7:30, an election debate between Democrat Ruth Messenger and Republican Ken Abramowitz at Lincoln Square Synagogue in New York City. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with founder and chairman of Reservists on Duty, IDF Major retired Amit Deri on L'chaim. At 10, a discussion on the life and work of Rabbi Menachem Froman. And coming up right after this newscast tonight at 6:30, Yizhar Hess, who is executive director and CEO of the Masorti conservative movement in Israel, discusses the protest this week over the Israeli government's failure to implement a compromise that allows for egalitarian prayer at a section of the Western Wall. As I sit in for Mark Golub on In the News. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, November the 3rd, 2016. I'm Teisha Bader.